Hello, this is Robert Romano with Comicsgate.org. Merry Christmas and almost Happy New Year here. I wanted to show everyone that there's a graphic adventure that you can do with OpenAI ChatGPT 4.0 right now, which I think is pretty exciting. And first, I'm going to show a little bit of the artwork to give you an idea of like what is it basing it on? What is the OpenAI, the ChatGPT, what is it able to base its graphics on? Over the past year or so, I've managed to kind of make a little text adventure with the OpenAI, technology. I was able to do it in ChatGPT a year ago, and just by giving it a really long prompt of instructions and just kind of trial and error. First, I discovered you could make a menu out of it, but this is my artwork for Children of the Grave, which I think is a good way of looking at the I always wanted to make a graphic novel, right? And I like role playing games. I like Dungeons and Dragons and games like that. Love Zork, and I love text adventures. And so when ChatGPT came out, it seemed like, oh, this is great. You could have a kind of like a brochure for your world where you can kind of walk around and take a tour. So I've almost got too many loves. It's like, oh, I want to do everything. But this is what I can do with kind of pen and ink, and then cleaning it up in Clip Studio Paint, and you trying out the brushes. And this is Mortacia. She's the goddess of death. She's trying to liberate the city of Hades. She's been overthrown, so she was a queen in exile, and now she's heading back to Hades to try to liberate humanity, who's been imprisoned by the Dark Lord Erithus. She's going to get into battles. But this is kind of, and by the way, this is a Larry Elmore kind of design. If you look over my shoulder there, you'll see a Larry Elmore original. That was going to be the cover for a graphic novel. I gotten sidetracked developing Comicsgate.org, Comicsgate.com, etc. But I wanted to show you just kind of what the world is, and that this is kind of an original creation here, and then give you an idea of what it does once you get into it. Let's just double check, make sure you can see the screen. Okay, you can see the screen. We're going to hit, all you have to do is hit start, and we're going to do a demonstration for ChatGPT 4.0 Children of the Grave graphic text adventure. Should start generating graphics right away. If it doesn't, then we'll have to stop, pause it for a moment, and just remind it that it needs to show images every single turn. But we get 40 moves every 3 hours, so we'll get up to 40, and then I'll jump over and show you what I was able to do via the API, which is slightly different. For about a year, I was working to try to create a JavaScript version of this that can work with the OpenAI prompts in conjunction with one another to keep track of things like room coordinates, what exits are available, what character you're playing, try to create as much to be embedded into the prompt. You have to keep sending all this information to the AI. It could be OpenAI. You could probably do the same thing with Grok if they get an API, but I've noticed that my prompt is very strong. It works in Grok. We'll do a Grok demonstration some other time so you can see kind of some of the differences that are evident in a kind of earlier builds. But I find this to be very cool, basically. Let's see what happens. It's kind of slow. Let's see what happens. If we're at peak usage, then here we go. Creating image. Sometimes it'll be like, oh, the server loads too much, and everyone's trying to use OpenAI. So this kind of reminds me of like a Commodore 64 trying to load the next screen. But it's probably leveraging far more than that. All right, here we go. Welcome Adventurer. So there you can see, we can click on that so you can get a better view. So I told it to kind of make like an old kind of 8-bit style graphic. And so this is the ruined temple in Tartarus. Let's see what it says. Welcome, adventurer, to the ruined temple at the edge of the underworld plain Tartarus. You stand before the crumbling edifice, the air thick with the arcane and the dangerous echoes of a world beyond the living. The yellowish sky above is torn with hellish sandstorms, and the horizon is lined with the jagged teeth of vast mountains. Dark magics pulse through the air, the ground underfoot cracked and barren. Around you, the air shimmers with the presence of ferocious monsters, dragons, both celestial and nightmarish. High beings of pure magical energy, angels battling powerful demons, all part of the tumultuous life of this forsaken realm. And so that's kind of actually a little paraphrase of the description. I said, use this as inspiration. So that's kind of what I wrote. Not exactly though. It's rewriting it. It's maybe improving upon it. But every time I launch the game, I get a very similar image of the ruined temple. They don't always come out the same, but I find these graphics to be, quite beautiful in my opinion. It's what I would want to see on my Commodore 64. There's the, maybe those are the celestial dragons or something like that, angels and demons. It's supposed to be a yellow eye and Tartarus. So it's able to represent all of that, and it's going to basically take the description in the game and show, and then feed back an image every single time. Okay. Angels battling powerful demons, all a part of the tumultuous life of this forsaken realm. Before you lies the start menu for your grand adventure. We can either play as Mortacia, the goddess of death, Bone Drake, White Lady. She was the one we saw in this image here. She's a lead character, but not the only lead character. We also have suzerain, male 25 level knight of Atenus. Atenus is the god of war. He embodies the valor and strength of his holy order, clad in armor with a helm with a red plume. He is a beacon of martial prowess and chivalric honor. Whereas Mortacia is 8.5 feet tall, human-looking female with long blonde hair, large gray dragon wings that are slightly decayed, teeming with the power to bring about the end or salvation. And then we can create a party of 7 adventurers. I will admit that in GPT itself, this is actually very challenging for the GPT to pull off, mostly because it has trouble remembering all the characters. When I did it via the API, I created a way to store all the character information. And when we get bored with this, I'll jump over there before the end of the stream to show you what can be done via the API, and maybe why it differs a little bit here. To keep things simple, sometimes Mortacia is she's a goddess. She has lots of powers. She can cast spells, etc. It might come in handy if we're going to the realms of Tartarus. Suzerain, he's pretty tough. But if he's in Tartarus, that means he's died. So he's not invulnerable. Okay, so it's going to create the image right off the bat. So we selected number 1, which was to be Mortacia. And it should, maybe, let's see, is it going to show us a picture of Mortacia? That's what it should do. That's what I instructed it to do. I guess I get a coffee break every time the image is loading. All right, boom. There's Mortacia. And she kind of looks similar and to other versions of this. So it seems to be kind of getting its sea legs. By the way, exactly like what I give it. I give it a kind of a text description of what she's supposed to be. And then it can, sometimes it'll stick the landing and then she'll look kind of like this. Other times, she's going to have horns, but that's okay. I mean, we're kind of experimenting here. It doesn't have to be perfect, but this is, because someone playing the game, they're not really going to know the difference. Maybe they want to, maybe as time goes forward, it'll be able to become more refined and you can drop more assets in it. But this is just doing it on the fly here. You have chosen to play as Mortacia, the goddess of death, the Bone Drake, the White Lady. As you materialize within the crumbling confines of the ruined temple, your form is both awe-inspiring and terrifying. Tall and imposing, your long blonde hair flows like a river of gold down your back, and your large, decayed dragon wings spread wide, casting dark, ominous shadows upon the broken stones of the temple. Your eyes, pools of ancient wisdom and untold power, scan the desolate landscape of Tartarus. Here, amidst the desolation of the underworld's vast wasteland, your journey begins anew. The temple around you whispers tales of ancient rites and long-forgotten gods. The air is thick with magic, the ground littered with the remains of those who dared to traverse these unholy grounds. Your presence stirs the spirits and creatures of this realm, and the very air seems to thicken with anticipation of your next move. Okay, so let's see, we're a level 50 assassin, fighter, necromancer, goddess. It needs to roll our hit points, so we're going to instruct it to do that. All right, gives us a hook now. And our abilities are a vast array of dark magic, necromantic powers, and combat skills honed over eons. As the goddess of death, your ultimate quest lies in reclaiming your power, restoring order to the chaos that has overrun the afterlife, and confronting whatever forces have conspired to strip you of your throne. Each step will bring you closer to allies and enemies alike, and each choice will ripple throughout the realms. Now, where will you begin your quest? Will you explore the recesses of the temple, venture out into the sandstorm ravaged wastelands, or seek out the beings that call this place home? Let's roll my HP and look. Should give me some exits. Sometimes it needs a little help, so we might have to help it out. If it forgets to, okay, so it's going to roll. It's going to analyze. Let's see if it knows to do an image. Nope. We're going to stop. We're stopping. We're editing in that. And look, and don't forget to display images every turn, no matter what. That's annoying. Eventually it'll get there though. Okay, so let's see. You're going to analyze. You got to roll my HP. Then you're going to look, and then you're going to remember to display the image. And there's the image. There we go. Now it should set in and give me an image every time now, because in addition to the prompt, it's going to remember the conversation history. The prompt says to display an image every single turn, but sometimes you just got to give it a little extra encouragement. All right, that's Mortacia, goddess of death. You rolled an additional 6 hit points. So you'll see it actually changed the way she looked. It's not going to always remember what the description is, even though it's in the prompt. It's trying to do a lot of things. I gave it a few instructions there. Maybe in subsequent turns, it will remember that she has wings. The temple, once sacred place, now lies in disrepair. You look around, your eyes casting a faint, otherworldly glow that lights up the shadows, revealing broken columns, fallen stones, and the faded inscriptions that speak of ancient rites and long-lost deities. The air is thick with the dust of ages and the power of lingering magics. As you move, the sound of your footsteps echoes through the vast emptiness, stirring the quietude. It should be showing me exits. I'm a little disappointed that it's not showing me the game console either. It's supposed to show a game console. We might need to jump into a different, we could do that. Can I open the sidebar here? Let's see. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Here was another version of it that we had started that is including the game console. We kind of need these coordinates here. So what have we done so far? We found an ancient tome. We examined the ancient tome. There's a rite of passage. I want to kind of make it. Let's see if we can go back here and actually make this thing display the game console, because this just means I need to. Don't forget to. Okay. Why don't we do it this way? Go back here. Every turn, no matter what. Don't forget to display the game console information and images every turn, no matter what. Roll my HP. So let's see if we can get that all done in one go here. Still experimental. So it's like, oh, how could you sell a game like this if it requires this much help? Okay, so there we go. Now it's starting to give me locations. Might have to, it's doing the coordinates. I didn't tell it to do coordinates. I just said the game console's information. There's instructions therein that say, oh yeah, you're supposed to have game coordinates. Oh yeah, we're supposed to show objects in the room. Oh yeah, we're supposed to show exits. Here's the game console information. Oh my, we forgot all that stuff. Now I've also forgot to display an image, but we'll get there. All right. So there's an ancient altar covered in dust and faded bloodstains. It whispers tales of sacrifices and offerings to deities. Long forgotten. There's broken statues scattered around. On the ground is littered debris of those who perish seeking the temple's secrets. The air is heavy with the scent of decay and the whispers of lost souls. There's always, I never told it to put whispers of lost souls, but no matter what version of the game I run, it seems to think that there's going to be whispers of lost souls that maybe we can listen to. Let's see here. Okay, we have 125 hit points, 0 out of 1,000, 750,000 experience points out of 1 million. Okay, that is all correct. All right, so why don't we can go north, a dark corridor leading deeper into the temple. There's a partially collapsed passage to the east, the wind howling through its openings. And then south, the way we came, leading to the desolate lands of Tartarus. Let's go south, see what's outside. Head south and don't forget to display images every turn, no matter what. And don't forget the game console either. Like, do both. I could walk and chew gum at the same time. Come on, what did you cost? $20 billion to develop or something? Come on, walk and chew gum at the same time. And while we're here, why don't we check in on, make sure everything's working. Okay. Sometimes I have to check with StreamYard to make sure that it's going to, this is kind of cool. All right, so now I think it's getting its sea legs now. So Mortacia is venturing outwards. I use the command. Mortacia, the goddess of death, you leave the ruined temple, heading south into the vast, desolate landscape of Tartarus. The temple recedes behind you, its ancient stones whispering farewell as you step out under the wide, ominous sky. And I just love these graphics. This is really cool. So just a note, like if I ever draw my comic book, I won't be using like Dolly or some other diffusion model to make images. I'll just draw them myself. I went to art school for a reason, because I wanted to learn how to draw. So I would just draw it myself. What I'm doing with this is creating, I think, something that no human being could possibly make, which is a graphic text adventure that will respond to your commands, that you can talk to the characters, interact with them. Okay, so let's see. Now GPT-4 is actually a step up from 3.0 and 3.5. It seems to do a better job of seeing what the coordinates are. It's not perfect though. So when I did the API model, I was able, and I'll get to that in just a few minutes. I was able to just kind of have a map tracking system in the JavaScript so that, hey, you don't even need to think about that. Just think about the room's descriptions and the story and the characters and what's going on. And let the mechanics, the mathematics of a game, including the coordinates, but things also like hit points, experience points, let's let the JavaScript handle that. So I was trying to balance the two, because at that point, there was no GPTs, custom GPTs. As soon as they came out with a custom GPT, it's like, oh, let's give this a try, because I think this is how maybe perhaps people, if there's going to be any market for GPTs, they're going to want to get it at the OpenAI store. In the very least, there should be a version of the game available in the GPT store. Now, right now, in links in the description, you can, as a GPT Plus subscriber, you can try out the game. And let me know what you think. This tutorial will let you know how to kind of keep the graphics going. Oh, where's my game console? Okay, so the land before you is a testament to desolation and power, a place where only the strong and cunning can navigate the dangers that lurk. The wastelands of Tartarus before you stretches an endless expanse of barren wasteland. The ground is cracked and dry, bones and relics of the past, half buried in the sand. Dark magics twist the air, manifesting in eerie lights and sudden chilling gusts of wind. The sky above is a tapestry of swirling yellow sands and darker clouds, foretelling the relentless storms that scour the landscape. Here and there, the ruins of what might have been temples or cities dot the horizon, their stories lost to time. Ferocious monsters roam in the distance, their shapes silhouetted against the sky, and you can see and feel the eyes of other entities upon you, hidden in the shadows or the air above. Let's see, they're half buried. There's some ancient relics maybe in the sands. There's monster tracks, large ominous prints leading off into the distance. east and west. We can go leading further into the wasteland where danger and adventure surely lie. Okay, it's got my images, it's keeping my game console, it's given me enough story to go on here. Now Mortacia, you now stand in the heart of Tartarus, the underworld itself, bowing to the might and darkness you embody. Each step you take is a step towards reclaiming what was once yours. Each choice a move in the great game of gods and mortals. So I say, let's head. So it gave me a hint here. So sometimes if I say, for example, follow monster tracks to east. It didn't tell me the monster tracks were east. I could just say follow the ominous monster tracks, but let's go find a monster. So we'll say, and we'll tell it that it's to the east. And now if you were running a game, like at a tabletop, and you wanted to use this as like a description generator, it would probably work pretty fine. And then you can improvise like this. Now that also makes the game too easy, because I could probably just say, "Oh, fly to Hades and confront Arithis." Would the game stop me from doing that? So we're not trying to break the game, though. We're just trying to have fun. All right, so we're going to follow the monster tracks to the east. It's creating my images. It's now obeying as it ought to. So we'll get some more coffee here while the Commodore 64 loads. Cool. Okie dokie. So we follow the monster tracks, guided by a sense of purpose and telltale marks of a monstrous presence. You, Mortacia, move eastward, following the tracks that weave through the wastelands. Tracks are large and foreboding, suggesting a creature of considerable size and strength. The land around you is bleak, a tableau of desolation with jagged rocks and the remnants of what might have once been life. The sky above is a maelstrom of yellow sand and dark clouds, a constant reminder of the harshness of the realm. And now we were south, and now we're east. So south is -1 on y Cartesian coordinates. East is +1 x. So it's keeping its place. And keep in mind, this is a very kind of basic version, I think, of what the GPTs are capable of. This has only been out of 1 year, and here it is. It's able to kind of keep track of where you are. It maybe my JavaScript model will end up being necessary because eventually it's going to make mistakes. You're going to get pretty far into the game, and it's going to start making mistakes, and then the player is going to have to correct things. So it shouldn't have to correct things like, oh, you screwed up the coordinates, or you forgot what was in my inventory, or even worse, you don't remember which character I'm playing. Come on, man. As you venture east, the landscape grows increasingly treacherous. The ground here is broken with jagged fissures and sharp rocks. Occasionally, a gust of wind reveals bones and relics beneath the sands, each a grim testament to the dangers of Tartarus. The monster tracks continue to lead you forward, deeper into the unknown. They are fresher here, the signs of passage clearly against the harsh ground. In the distance, you can see a dark shape moving, perhaps the creature you are tracking, or another of the many dangers that lurk in this land. Fissures, it's objects in the room, deep cracks in the ground, leading into dark, unseen depths. It's going to always it'll always offer a way back underground. Because going back out, it's like, oh, you arrived at the ruined temple. You're supposed to proceed through the ruined temple. It's like, oh, by the way, there's a door back outside. Do you want to see what's outside? I like to go outside first. I want to see what the consistency is. Okay, so we can go west back towards the central wastelands, or we can go east. The tracks lead on. We're going to do that. With each step, the sense of something looming grows. Okay, so let's. So you often want to kind of identify a clue that it put in there. Monster tracks, a dark shape. All right. Follow tracks east towards dark shape. Let's see if it remembers to do my image. It's creating the image. So while the I mean, Nintendo was faster than this. But not too much memory, right? So we're trying to do a lot with a little. So if you do a prompt, you might find that you can do about whatever 10,000 words or something like that. Here we go. With unreal yielding resolve, you continue eastward. Mortacia following. And let's see, make sure. Yeah, we were still getting our game console information. You continue eastward, following the tracks that lead east towards the dark shape. The eastern wastelands of Tartarus grow more perilous and alien as you proceed. The ground beneath your feet is fraught with danger, littered with larger rocks and deeper fissures, a testament to the unforgiving nature of this realm. And so, to me, this is, is it better than something like Zork? Zork was very well written. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Also, these are classic Infocom games that were made about 40 years ago. Were very well written, and this is using. I think it's like, oh, how do they train these natural language models? It's like, I bet you at some point they had the thing playing Zork, and maybe even creating a game like this to respond to games and prompts. But I think this is like, what's a good use case for GPTs? Play a game, a text adventure. This is precisely, I think, what it's good at. Now you can also use it to code. As I was developing the JavaScript for the to kind of create a game interface and keep track of coordinates and things like that, and come up with code. It can definitely code very well, and it's very good at coding. Professional developers, if you hire a professional developer, I would not be surprised if they are using OpenAI to come up with code even faster to serve their clients even better. And so that's going to probably make it maybe cheaper to get coding done. And you can even have it teach you how to do code, which I find to be incredibly useful. I've used it for all sorts of things already, both at work, as I'm developing comicsgate.org, as I developed the small thing. It's good. It's kind of small tasks. I've used it for a couple things on comicsgate.com. Development, which is nearing completion. I'm excited to report. Okay, so approaching the dark shape. Let's see. The sky above swirls with a yellowish hue. So it's remembering what Tartarus looks like. That's good. Let's see. The dark shape ahead grows clearer as you approach. It is large and imposing, casting a long, ominous shadow across the broken ground. The air around it seems to shimmer with strange energy, and the sense of power is almost palpable. The wasteland around you is silent, as if holding its breath. The usual howls of the wind and distant cries eerily absent. The tracks lead straight towards this enigmatic presence, suggesting that whatever lies ahead is the source of the monstrous signs you've been following. The tension is a tangible thing, hanging heavy in the air. Okay, objects in the room. A large, mysterious entity. Its true nature not yet revealed. Shimmering air, the space around the dark shape seems distorted, perhaps by magic or some unknown force. So we can continue east, promising answers or perhaps further questions. So do we need to continue east, or can we just? I mean, this thing must be tremendous. If I can move one more space over. Let's just. I think it's pretty. It says the objects in the room now, so the dark shape is here. I don't think we need to keep heading east to try to find out what this thing is. So Mortacia, she's a goddess. She's been around, kind of forever in her mind. She's not going to say, "Let's fight this thing." I don't know what this thing is. Let's bow to the dark shape. Say. Greetings. I am Mortacia. Tartarus is my realm. Who are you? So we'll try to be respectful. See if we can get more flies with honey. It's still now generating my images. So telling it to, do the game console and then remember to do the images is successful. That's annoying though, but whatever. I mean, if you get a game and it's like, oh, you need to set it up, I mean, like think of how hard it is to set up a tabletop game and to initiate a session. So you just want to play by yourself. So it's like, only two things you got to do is type start and then remind it to generate images. All right. Here it's trying to write. So it's like trying to make like a game console, maybe like a Nintendo or whatever. But it doesn't know how to spell when it does the images just yet. Dolly's still catching up, I think, to some of the other models. But I've told it to do kind of these 8-bit graphics. But what could this eventually do, right? It could probably do animations on the fly. Can it then like, can you create like a palette that you could then say, oh, here's my game palette? Like, could you take like RPG Maker and then augment this with like an OpenAI thing, and then like have the two things kind of work together? I bet you could. So I bet you could create like I think you could use this to make a holodeck. If it can tell the story and it can have the characters speaking and engaging with them, let's see if it talks back. In a gesture of regal authority and diplomatic grace, you, Mortacia, bow before the dark shape that stands ominously before you in the eastern wastelands. Your powerful figure is poised and dignified, your wings spread slightly in a display of might and majesty. You'll notice that they kind of, now she has angel wings, before she had dragon wings, but that's kind of cool. It's trying. The fact that it can do graphics at all. Let's see. As you bow, you speak in a voice that carries the weight of eons and the power of the netherworld. Greetings, I am Mortacia. Tartarus is my realm. Who are you? The air is thick with anticipation as you wait the response of the dark shape. The tension of the moment is palpable, a testament to the significance of this encounter. The wasteland around you holds its breath. The dark shape remains still and imposing as you wait its response. So what didn't it do? It didn't know to respond. Okay, say, and then generate the dark shapes response. It needs to respond. Because we can, if I have to remind it every single time, that's going to get annoying. It's like, oh yeah, I'm supposed to be acting as the NPC. So when it's trying to do too many things, like generate images, remember the game console, generate the room's description, carry out your actions, it's like, oh yeah, I have to act out all of the other parts. So let's, so I just find it's easier to just regenerate. If you can do it in the GPT, you can just edit your response and get it to, oh, this is cool. This is a nice image. So now it realizes it needs to, okay. With a gesture of regal authority, grace and power, you bow to the creature. Greetings, I am Mortacia. Tartarus is my realm. Who are you? The dark shape is now more clearly defined, seems to stir at your words. It shifts its form, a tapestry of shadows and power, and a voice emanates from it, deep and resonating. Here we go. The dark shape says, I am known as Varathor, the keeper of secrets and guardian of lost souls. Your presence here is known to me, Mortacia, as all things in Tartarus are. I watch over those forgotten by time, the relics and memories that even death overlooks. Speak, goddess of death. What brings you to the domain of the forgotten? Ooh, this is interesting. So Varathor, so this character was just created on the fly. So I guess this is Varathor. He can, I guess he's morphing, so maybe he sees Mortacia and it's like, oh, you have wings. Oh, I can have wings too. That's a cool looking character though. Like, so one of the use cases, I've heard Ethan Van Sciver describe this. Oh, maybe you could use it to like, get inspiration for like generating characters or costumes or things like that. I think that's a pretty cool costume. It's like, kind of a Grim Reaper, but with wings, but you can see the bones of the character there. Let's see. So I think that looks a little like Skeletor, perhaps. Again, I'm telling it to do kind of 8-bit style graphics, which again I find to be very beautiful. It seems to be maintaining the the description of. Oh, we got something in the background there. We'll just. But then we have dead air. So I'm like, oh, phone's ringing in the background. What do we do? We're just going to talk over it. Hopefully it's not too distracting here. But Varathor is a brand new character created on the fly by the GPT. Is a creature of shadow and whisper, surrounded by an aura of mystery and ancient knowledge. We can again head west back towards the wider east wastelands. We can continue east. The dark shape lies before you, offering conversation or guidance. It knows that we've taken 5 turns. It's still remembering our location coordinates, so that's all good. Okay, so what brings us to the lands of the forgotten? So yeah, so we're trying to reclaim our throne in Hades. Say, I am venturing through Tartarus towards Hades. I must reclaim my throne there and save humanity, which is being tortured for eternity. It has been many ages, but I must learn why I have lost the power to judge the dead. And this is not really a spoiler. This is kind of the premise of the world. So what if there was no heaven, but there's only hell? No matter what, you're born, you live, you die, you're going to hell. And you're going to be tortured. Why is it like this? So Mortacia, she's the goddess of death in this world of Danae. She's lost her power to judge the dead. Oh, let's stop that. Sometimes you just got to be super specific. Varathor. Hopefully that doesn't count as one of my 40 moves. Eventually we're going to run out of space here. Oops, let's stop. And don't forget to generate images every turn. And display every turn, no matter what. I forgot to do the image, so we're just going to try to keep it along here. There we go. Which is annoying. It should do that every time, but we're not in control of. It's basically juggling. It's like, oh yeah, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. You're following all these instructions and trying to keep the game together and remember everything that's happened. It's not quite there yet. Okay, so here we are now. And the characters are becoming more defined. It's still remembering. That's a pretty cool Mortacia. I like that. Mortacia. And Varathor it still looks like what the character looked like from the previous turn. So that's interesting. So it's actually seems to be having a memory of what the previous images were in the conversation. So it's definitely gleaning information correctly. And it's still all right, good. It's still giving us our responses here. But these are some great images. I think this, as far as a text adventure goes, now you can talk to the characters can talk back, and in addition to that, you can take whatever actions you want, and then it's going to generate graphics to do those things, right? So could any human being make a game like this? I suppose you could. Like if you have a game engine and you can move through the game engine. So I've been using the API to create a game engine and then interact with the API and then to generate the graphics, right? Is an addition that can now be done. Can I get the graphics to display via the API? If so, creating the game engine is probably the way to go, because if I can just do a text adventure via a game engine, there's no reason why somebody else couldn't just have like a 3D kind of Minecraft kind of world that has that can then take descriptions and then have it feed into the game engine and generate the graphics. I think there's a synthesis there that can be very useful, particularly for games. That I hope that developers, I think, are going to definitely look into. I think eventually this could be, graphics will become more realistic. People can put on their Oculus. They can do a VR world that's being generated by an AI with characters that can talk. You can have simulations. You can have a virtual holodeck. I think using a methodology like this. I like 8-bit graphics though. I'm the realistic graphics of modern games. I like the old graphics. I think they're very beautiful. So I told it to kind of draw with one hand tied behind your back. Do 8-bit graphics, and I think those are just fine for this particular game. What a voice that carries the weight of eons and echoes of the souls that have passed under your dominion. You address Varathor, explaining the gravity of your quest. I am venturing through Tartarus towards Hades. I must reclaim my throne there and save humanity, which is being tortured for eternity. It's been many ages, but I must learn why I've lost the power to judge the dead. Maybe Varathor has some information for us. Varathor listens intently. Its form a constant shift of shadows and whispers, as if the very air around it is alive with the secrets it guards. After a moment of silence, where the only sound is the distant howl of the winds of Tartarus, it responds. Varathor, your journey is one of great peril and consequence, Mortacia. The throne of Hades is not easily reclaimed, and the forces that move against you are ancient and powerful. The loss of your ability to judge the dead is tied to the very fabric of the underworld and the balance between life and death itself. Many secrets have been buried in the sands of time, forgotten by all but a few. I can guide you to the edges of my domain, the gates of Hades, but beyond that, you must face the darkness and the unknown yourself. Be wary, goddess, for even in your might, the path ahead is fraught with danger and deceit. So here's an example. I think now it's responding kind of in a story structure, which is good. I said, oh yeah, I need to get to Hades. And it's like, oh, I'll take you to Hades. It should be hard to get to Hades. There should be obstacles. This could be why you need to kind of pre-map the game. Say that you don't get to Hades. Say there's 1,000 rooms. You don't get to Hades until room 700. You got to be in room 701. Okay, you're at the gates of Hades. Something like that. You need to set a structure so that there's difficulty. Like if I were to fight Varathor right now, the combat might be incredibly easy. Can I use JavaScript via the API to simulate the combat and the combat rounds and roll dice and do it correctly? Because the game might want to just help you get to the conclusion of the chat, basically. It's like, oh, how can I help you in this chat, basically? And I've instructed it to make a game, to make it difficult, but sometimes it doesn't obey. You have to rein it in a bit. And so doing this via the GPT, though, it has advantages. So we can do graphics. The 4.0 is superior to the 3.5. Doing 4.0 GPT via the API is actually more expensive. And then there's a final question of, while this is all very entertaining, for me personally, is there really a market for GPTs like this? I think that's an open question. OpenAI was going to launch the GPT store in November. By now, there's thousands or even tens of thousands of GPTs. Maybe some of them are going to be games, others are going to be helper tools. You'll probably see lots of companies on your social media feeds trying to sell you or GPTs. Come to my website and use my GPT, etc. But it's just leveraging OpenAI, etc. So let's okay, so we're going to continue here. Okay, be wary, goddess, for even in your might, the path ahead is fraught with danger and deceit. Varathor stands as a sentinel of the forgotten. It's a presence, a beacon of desolation. Oops. Okay, there we go. I thought my browser was about to crash. So if we had a little glitch there for a moment, I apologize. So remember, 6 turns taken, 125 hit points. Still remembers our location in the maze. He's the keeper of secrets. Continuing east towards the wastelands. Okay. Varathor's words hang in the air, a warning and a beacon as you prepare to continue your quest. The gates of Hades await, as do the answers you seek and the trials you must face. say to Varathor, will you first, I must journey back to the ruined temple. I must find the artifacts. The plot, basically, it's a treasure hunt. But the classic Zork games and other types of text adventures typically will have a preset number of special objects or artifacts that need to be recovered in the game. Usually they're useful objects that will then help you get to the end of the game. And so that's a good way of, I think, structuring the game in order to basically prevent you from jumping into the end. Right now it wants to jump to the end, but you need to have preconditions. It's like, oh, you got to defeat 10 bosses first, and you got to find a bunch of artifacts, and you got to complete, like, I'm saying 15 artifacts, 21 quests, and then you get to the end, and then the final quest is to defeat Erithus in Hades. But you want it to kind of generate those elements, and then trying to teach it how to structure the game, teach it to tell a story. That's all in your prompt. And when I can make this commercially available, what I'm going to do is, and I've already done it on, if you just go to childrenofthegrave.com, I've already published a version of the game back prior to the API release of GPT 3.5. That was, there's my prompt that I'm using. So you can actually go to childrenofthegrave.com, and if you click on the links, you'll find in the with the open game content information. You could take the prompt there. I did it under the open game license from Wizards of the Coast because I wanted to be able to utilize basically any monsters that are in the 5e and also the 3e versions of the what's called the system reference document. Originally, Children of the Grave was published under the D20 system license. That's actually a trademark license. That's not in use anymore, though. But the open game license 1.0a is. It was almost deauthorized. And I was like, oh, wow, I better publish my game really quickly in case they're going to get rid of the open game license. So hopefully doing that was enough to grandfather the game in, and I'll be able to continue development. But kind of iffy, right? But you want to use elements from 3e plus 5e and generate a cool game. I want to make it open game content so that anyone can use the prompt and make a game like this. I'm also going to make the JavaScript available. Again, I question the market for games like this commercially, because if anyone can just create a prompt and then launch their own game inside of GPT, you don't need to purchase anything. So, but what might be useful is, is there a game engine that you can purchase? So like I mentioned the JavaScript that I have on the API. Let's just get this game back on track here, though. I must find the artifacts therein and complete the quests. So I just need to remind the game, hey, by the way, you're not supposed to skip to the end. Back to the ruined temple. I must find the artifacts there and complete the quests through the maze. But maybe Varathor wants to help. Will you join Varathor as keeper of the secret? Will you accompany me in my search for the sepulchre? Now, Varathor should be aware of the sepulchre. I'm surprised he didn't mention it, but that's fine. I just want to remind the AI that, hey, we're supposed to. There's a big game here. Try to double check the rules, and let's see if it remembers to display the stupid image. There we go. It's creating the image. So get some coffee. And we're almost coming up on an hour here. So we're going to, I'll be signing off soon, but I did want to show you the API version of this to show you kind of what it can, what I've been able to get it to do so far. which I find to be pretty useful. Okay. Hmm. Okay, your request hangs in the air. A mix of command and query. As you ask Varathar, the keeper of secrets, to accompany you back to the ruined temple in search of the sepulchre and to assist in navigating the maze of quests and artifacts that lie therein. His response is deep, resonating sound, more felt than heard, a vibration that seems to emanate. Mortacia, your quest is noble and your determination is clear. As the keeper of secrets and guardian of lost souls, my duty binds me to this place to watch over the forgotten and guard the secrets of the past. However, I can lend you my guidance and wisdom. The path you tread is riddled with danger. So it seems to be refusing. That's interesting. It's like, oh, I'm bound to this plane. Oh, poor Varathor. Hope he's not going to be stuck here. We're going to walk away, and then Varathor is just going to be waiting for eternity for someone else to come along and talk to him. The path you tread is riddled with danger and obscured by the shadows and of deceit. Seek the artifacts with caution, for they are protected by ancient magics and guarded by entities both powerful and cunning. Remember, in Tartarus, not all is as it seems. Trust in your strength and your insight, and you shall prevail. Okay. Varathor speaks. The air around you seems to shimmer with ancient power. The secrets of the ages whispering through the winds. The landscape of Tartarus bears witness to your encounter, a momentary calm in the usual chaos of the underworld. So now we've taken 7 turns. Let's see if it's still counting correctly. 6 turns. 5 turns. Okay, 125 hit points. 125 hit points. 125 hit points. And it's remembering the character. It's displaying the game console. So when I was using GPT 3.5, you would have to just take as many responses and answers as you could give and just spit it back to the game. But it was having trouble kind of keeping track of everything. So it's like, what can I do when we need to have a game console? So at this point, I feel like this has been a very successful demo. We had to, give it a few course corrections to get the game to kind of keep on going. But as you can see, the OpenAI ChatGPT 4.0 is fully capable of generating a graphic text adventure. I'm very excited about the prospects that this holds going forward. It could do it all right inside the GPT, which is amazing. I spent several months trying. I'll show you what we did. So let's go over here. Take it up to full screen here. Which one is that? Is that one? Oop, how do you go full screen? Oops, that's that one. All right, there we go. Actually, this is interesting. We can show you the game console as well. All right. So this is Children of the Grave, the text adventure version of this that I made on my website. So you can just kind of, let's just show you what it can do. So we're going to hit start. And then automatically, I had a kind of using JavaScript. It actually hasn't sent any information to the OpenAI yet. It's going to first ask you to create characters. So why don't we do that? Let's create a character. And then we could be someone besides Mortacia. So we're going to enter the character's name. You'll see over here, it's starting to generate the information. Can we zoom in on that? Yeah, we can make that bigger. Okay, good. Okay, cool. That's actually important. Okay, so then we can see, I want to show you like, oh, there's all this information. There's a database. There's an objects and room string. There's a character string. So it's going to have all this information. So I like to be Benedict. We're going to be Benedict. See, it got Benedict into the game console there. We're going to be male. And we still haven't sent any information to OpenAI just yet. Let's, okay. Let's see. We'll be a Benedict is a high elf. Boom. Benedict, male, high elf. Okay, choose character's class. Benedict is a sorcerer. Powers come within through possession and use of light magic. Warlocks use dark magic. There's also necromancers, witches, wizards, Knight of Atlantis, Knight of Atrocles. He's the god of justice. Atlantis is the god of war. He can also be a thief, an assassin, or a barbarian. Okay. And the races were human, dwarf, high elf, good elves of light magic, unseelie elves of dark magic, evil elves, half elves, halflings, fae. Those are pixie-like creatures, but they're related to the elves, but they're not elves. The Rakshasa, cat-like beings who tend to be dark sorcerers and necromancers. So kind of like one kind of beast kind of character you could be. And then we have gnomes. So you have the traditional kind of 3E, 5E races there, Tolkien-esque, typical kind of high fantasy. All right, so number 7 is a sorcerer. Boom. Okay. Now I've also taught it, or not taught it. This is still all JavaScript. We have not sent any information to the OpenAI yet, but it has a role. It is Benedict. He's a male. He's a high elf. He's a sorcerer. There's MP level 1, HP 26. Then it's created characters for me, and there was a kind of a name generator. Had OpenAI create a name generator to create names, basically, because I need these characters to appear in the game console, because it's going to feed that information through the game every time we send a prompt, and that way you don't lose track of the characters. But it can also keep track of their hit points, their levels. So I think this is all very important. So we have, let's see, we're going to have a half-elf necromancer, female, Gaui, mean, Dracorin, Tellen, male, high elf, witch, Hyen Zol, male, half-elf, warlock, Quio, Kalna, Urok, male, halfling, thief, Uash, Cure, half-elf, barbarian, and then Mortacia, she's a member of the party as well. So now we just hit enter, and it's loading. Do we have an error? Shouldn't be an error. That's okay. Look. It's something weird happened. That's interesting. There's an error. Why do I have what's the stupid error? Array map. That's interesting. I should have tested this. Well, we can't debug this right now. I wanted to show everyone the game. What are we supposed to do? I think what we'll do. Is it going to do that every time? Let's just try 7. That's not going to work. Something wrong with how it's carrying these characters into the game console. Probably some change that we had made that I had made whilst I was coding recently. We're going to have to debug this. How can I show you what's going on in this game if I can't show you what's going on in this game? So let's come out of our full screen mode here. Let's go to F11. Let's see. Let's go to... I think if we exit that... Oh no, we failed in our test. At least the GPT was working. So let's come over here for a second. Come back over here. Let's go to... Something wrong with the party mode. That can happen. So what if we just... Okay, come back to full... Oh, let's go over here. Come back over here. I wanted to show you the party mode. The party mode's really cool. But that's okay. These things happen. Okay, come over here. Go full screen. Okay. We'll just be suzerain. Let's just be suzerain. Let's just let the game start. And let's see if we can pull up our game console. Okay, that did work. Okay. Okay, so what I've trained it to do is to, or not trained it, what we coded it to do via JavaScript is to take the room description that's initially in the game. Let's see, objects in the rooms. It can generate objects in the room. It's going to have keeps coordinates, but via JavaScript, it keeps exits, generates them via JavaScript. It remembers which exits are in which location, and it'll remember which characters are located and everything. Okay, mysterious and otherworldly force. All right, so we'll just skip out of that. Will you play as more? Da, 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 da. Okay, we've already chosen suzerain. I have chosen suzerain. Begin game in ruined temple. And this is using 3.5 via the API. All right. You stand in the ruined temple, a dilapidated structure constructed of ancient stone, cracked and worn from the passage of time. The once imposing pillars now appear fragile. Okay, so this is being generated by OpenAI. So it's reading the game console correctly. It sees that there's robes in the room. There's northwest and down exits. You notice the rubble strewn as we enter the room. Remnants of the temple's collapse. What would you like to do? Then there's a character. So it had generated characters. These are NPC characters. Oops. I want to show you what's going on in the game console. Okay. So these characters are generated randomly. So these are kind of random characters that are generated. They're not in the party. It's rolling their let's see, it's creating random levels for each of them, and then it rolls their XP. It's going to have XP based upon what their level is, and so then we can actually add some of these characters to the party. There's a half elf knight of Atrocles. So this is another way you could play. You could say, I'm going to be suzerain, and then if I encounter characters that are cool, I'm going to add them to the party. So let's add. Oh, there's a gold dragon. That's cool. All right, so let's add to party. Let's see if that works. Don't give me an error. I have to go coding again. I haven't done the code for a while. I'm surprised that there was an error. But maybe I shouldn't be surprised. All right, so now it's working. Boom. It added Nayrok, Snagrock, Dracogarina to the party. Nayrok. We'll just call him Nayrok for short. Okay. All right. Nayrok joins the party. The gold powerful dragon, which looks at you with a sense of curiosity and concern in its eyes. His eyes. It's a he. Says that right there. It's male. That's all right. Let's see. Chaotic winds of Tartarus swirl. All right. As you gather your thoughts, the sifting sands of the room bring about a sudden shifting in the structure of the environment. The previously blocked hallway to the northwest is now accessible, seemingly having shifted and revealed a new opening. Vorthok Harkura approaches the newly revealed hallway and inspects it intently. This was not here before. The sands of Tartarus are ever shifting. We must be cautious as we proceed. As you prepare, now you'll see that I think this is generating more text for the adventure. So because I'm not telling it to maintain the coordinates, the JavaScript handles that. Let's just show you what some of these commands can do here. So for example, right now it says that there's exits to the northwest and down. So what if I say east? You can't go that way. It didn't even send it to OpenAI. The JavaScript looked at the game console and said, no, there's only northwest and down exits. So it's not going to process an incorrect command to go eastward. So that's important. Now let's say if we want to, let's just take the robes. Take robes. Boom, taken. And now they're in the inventory that we can, let's see, where can I see my inventory? I'll see it on the next turn, actually, when I move. Okay, so let's just see if there's anyone else we want to add to the party. Ooh, a rust monster. That's kind of cool. Kragthok Borok. Let's add Kragthok Borok to party. Boom. Kragthok Borok. Let's see who else is here. All right, and we'll add. There's a Knight of Earther here. Cool. The Earther is the god of like guardians and fortifications. So let's add Rogel Zarlug Morgorakia. Oops. Oh no, that didn't work. I have to say to the party. I can't stop it either. You have to use very specific commands. That didn't work. All right, add to party. I have to say add to party. Add the character's name to party. So the commands are, again, using JavaScript. There we go. Now we've got 4 people in the party. Let's see. Do we have any healers with us? Let's see. A necromancer. We already got a necromancer. There's a couple Knights of Atrocles here. Okay, and then let's get a Knight of Atrocles as well. Let's see. We have a witch, necromancer, Knight of Earther, and then let's just add Vorthok Harkora to party. Okay. Okay. Okay, so let's head northwest and just ignore all the stuff it told us. We wanted to get a party and then start to encounter. So let's see. Now, sometimes what's interesting is, okay, so now you can see there it's gone north 1, which is y plus 1, and it's gone west -1. And then it remembers that there's an exit back to the southeast, and then that you can go east and down. So what I've done is via JavaScript, told it to, or coded it so that it would basically generate a maze on the fly. Every time you move forward via the JavaScript, it's going to, increment the coordinates, generate new exits. It's maintaining a database of all the rooms and their potential exits. So it knows that, if I go, it knows that, for example, that southeast will take us back to the room we were in before. It'll remember the exits in that room before. It'll also remember the beings and objects that are in that room before. So this is all important to try to maintain persistence in the game. If you check back on my prior video, I was trying to do that just on the fly. Now, if I could get this version of it to generate graphics, that this might be the superior version because I'm getting more game information here, I think. And if I can get this at 4.0, GPT 4.0 gets cheaper, then this can definitely be something that, we can, log into the website. Maybe we can sell subscriptions to the website or something like that. Take short sword +2. And it's a good single player game too. So it's like, maybe the stream is born because it's a single player game. But, say you're on a train or something, like you have this game on your smartphone. It's like, I just want to play this game or whatever. People play games on their phones all the time. So maybe that would be a good use case for it. And we don't know how good the GPT store is going to be. It could be that there's 10,000 apps available on the GPT store at OpenAI when they launch their store, but nobody's buying them because everyone just wants to make their own GPTs. Nobody's actually like, I want to play a game that's a GPT. So we have to find people who like text adventures, like, very niche market. Like they remember the old Infocom games from 40 years ago, and they still want to play games like that. So we venture northwest. Into the corridor, the air feels heavy and cool, and strange shadows dance along the eerie walls. As you continue, the dimly lit corridor opens into a grand hall with towering pillars. Directly ahead, a gap in the floor shows remnants of a long ago collapsed level, and a corroded staircase runs parallel to the chamber's edges, descending downward. As you emerge, your emergence into this chamber catches the attention of your party. They stand at the ready. Okay, so now it's there are characters in our party that are going to start talking now. Vorthok says, "This hall gives me unease. It feels as though dark forces permeate the very stones of this place." Narok says, "Agreed. This place reeks of a foreboding presence. We shall be vigilant." Despite the apprehensive atmosphere, the uncovered passage gives the party a promising path into the abyss. So I wanted to show you what party mode's like. This is basically it. It's able to keep track. And then when you find objects, for example, the short sword, we took the short sword. But when you discover new objects, it'll increment the experience points. So I kind of really up that so that it would offer lots of experience points. This basically just to test if the XP and the leveling systems were working correctly. They are working correctly. So I can I'll just so right now the game's a little unbalanced because it's dishing out a ton of experience just for finding new objects. And so I need to reduce the odds of finding objects, reduce the amount of XP you get per object, and then the game should proceed accordingly a little bit more incrementally. But let's talk to the party. Ask members of party, how do you remember how you got here? The last thing I remember, I was fighting a battle against Dartoshan nobles and Drakentage, and in the sieges on Drakentage. So let's see if they can. Let's see how the AI can generate backstories for these characters. All right, got some nice descriptions here. Let's see. Children of the Grave, the ruined temple, TARDIS. Roggle. Who's Roggle? Is there a Roggle? Oh yeah. Okay, that's the Knight of Earther. Roggle raises a scaly, silvery appendage to his snout. What is he? Male. He's a Lokotha. All right, a Lokotha. I need like I need like a monstrous manual or something. What's a Lokotha? But apparently they have snouts. I know I was by the banks. It is not easily remembered. I know I was by the banks of the great river, Earther. Earther's a god. But the memory is fractured. The sands of time resist my attempts to recall the journey here. Yet here I am, and we have a path to traverse within these forsaken halls. The Knight of Earther speaks with a quiet rumble. Narok tilts her head to one side and nods thoughtfully. I vaguely recall flying above the storm-swept lands. Let's see. Narok is a male, not a female, male. That's not getting everything in the game console correctly. Gold dragon, though. At least it knew it was a dragon. The chaos of the winds matching the roiling doubts in my heart. Time and space felt entwined, and now clarity eludes me. Cragthok Borok says, taps at chitinous mandibles as he speaks. I'm not fully sure of my previous location. I was caught in a miasma of dark energy, and now I find myself in this place with you. The rust monster necromancer states with a touch of uncertainty. Forthok gazes at the party, rubbing his chin thoughtfully. The memory is a haze. Tartarus has an effect on the mind that makes knowledge of our arrival a mystery. Yet I feel an unspoken dread that we are in a realm steeped in turmoil. The half-elf knight responds. Zurash remains watchful as hushed memory whispers accompany the chaotic winds. It appears we've all been brought here by unconventional means. The shifting sands of Tartarus and the passage of time can certainly scramble a mind. We must press onward and discover our purpose, she urges. Let's see, Zurash. Who's Zurash? There's no Zurash here. Is there a Zurash here? Let's see. Let's check the room. There might be some NPCs in the room. There are no NPCs in the room, but there was one. Was there a Zurash in the previous room? Let's see. Go back one. Does it keep flipping it up? I can't see, can I? So it seems to be changing the game console through the history. That's interesting. I shouldn't be doing that. If I go back to the top, it should have the original characters, but it doesn't. It's actually changing. Oh, there they are. These are the monsters in the room. Okay. Okay, there they are. Oh, Zurash, okay, was a female Knight of Atrocles that was in the first room, but we never took Zurash with us. So the game is using the game's conversation history. So you see some of the drawbacks of the approach that I've taken is that I need to use a combination of the game console, and there's the updated game console, and there's the the updated game console, and there's the conversation history. So remember that there was a character Zurash in the game, but what it needs to recognize, and it's not succeeding at the moment fully, is to use the current game console. It's like, okay, these are the characters in the room. There's nobody else here. You need to, so I'm just going to ignore Zurash, and eventually it's going to. Okay, so let's go east. Okie dokie. And then we got some more experience points, and then it's incrementing the hit points as we gain more experience and level up. So the characters are getting more powerful as time goes on. And that's good, but I just need to, kind of lower the incrementing a little bit here. There's no monsters in this room. There's connected room coordinates. So that's a way to kind of keep track of where you are in the maze. It knows that there is to the west, and it back the way we came. And then there's a northwest and a southeast, there's a northwest and southeast exits from here. There's another, we have robes and a short sword +2. We can get some darts here. As the party prepares to move forward, the hush whispers from Harkna. Who's Harkna? There's no gobbling necromancer in the party. None at all. There are many hidden forces here. Be careful, says, now we need to be on the lookout for any dangers. Zurash, half-orc fighter. Zurash is not in the party. Okay, what do I need to do here? And there's actually... these are the NPCs in the party. Yeah. The only members of the party... So let's just give it our suzerain, Narok, Bragthok, Roggle, and Vorthok. The other characters left behind in the other room. Be sure to use the game console, the current game console, to keep track of the game. So we're going to have to make a course correction here. Let's see how it responds. Sorry about that. Okay, so now it knows where who's in the room with us, and etc. To the creatures, suzerain assistant, laser focus remains ready to act upon his next decision. Okay, let's just take all. You can just take all, and it will take the objects that are in the room, the darts and the whip. And then we're going to go. Let's see. Let's go southeast, northwest. Let's go northwest. Okie dokie. And let's see, we updated our game console. Okay, there's a monster in the room now. Let's see if it found Zarkrag. Does it know that Zarkrag's here? Doesn't, no, it has not. So sometimes so even though it generated a new character via the JavaScript and fed it into the OpenAI spit back information for moving northwest, but it did not take the updated game console. So again, this is a drawback of the approach that I've taken, which is to try to get as much information into the JavaScript as possible, spit that into the AI, and then have it feedback. Now, if I put in GPT 4.0, would it be more successful? That could be a test for another day, as I test this more and more. But I did want to show you the both the graphic elements and what I've been doing with the API, which I think is interesting and kind of just shows you in the kind of baby form that this game currently is in. Let's see here. And so this is the graphic version. You can get it. The links in the description. You can try out the on ChatGPT, the Children of the Game, Children of the Grave game, and see the 8-bit graphics. And you can, and if you do try it and it's like, oh, it's not generating images every time, you might need to, for example, say, don't forget to display the game console's information and images every turn, no matter what. And so when I did that, it actually displayed the game console information correctly. And then it's like, okay, if you're going to do, give it one instruction at a time, head south, and don't forget to display the images every turn, no matter what. And then it will pretty much go along. And then if it starts to generate a response that doesn't have an image, you can actually stop it and then tell it to kind of proceed there. But that's the game in its current form right now. I think this is very successful in terms of developing something that's new, something I could never create on my own, something that the AI is helpful in assisting. And it's kind of cool because then anyone can create a game that's set in their own world. And then you give it the information, you give it the story, and it's going to be a unique experience every single time you play it. And the fact that it has graphics, that is very cool, because otherwise it would just be a text adventure. But it can do both. So I find that to be very interesting, and I expect it's going to keep getting better and better in terms of generating. I think the story elements are they're compelling. I think like, could you tell that this was just an AI coming up with this information? Is it kind of staying towards the story? It seems that the more the player inputs via backstory or whatever, the game's going to respond to whatever the player puts into it. So that's an interesting. So in this case, for example, I had said, I got to get to Hades, and then suddenly it was presenting me like, oh, you want to get to Hades? I'll take you there in 2 moves. It's like, it shouldn't be that easy. So and I need to up the difficulty level that comes in with the game to try to make it so that it's not so easy in order to get to the end of the game. But I think anyone who was playing it and was like, oh, I don't want to skip to the end yet, I want to do more story, you can just tell it to do that. But some people are going to want to cheat and just skip to the end, and it's like, well, there is no really preset ending. It's making up the story as it goes. In any event, that's kind of the demo. We've been doing this for quite a while now. We have some chats here. Such a bloody crowded room. There's John Luke Connery. Hello, chat. I don't know if you're still there. Let's see. Such a bloody crowded room. Greetings all. Is this a mud room? Jean-Luc Connery asks. Good question. He's basically making a mud, but no M, only S for single. So I guess it's a SUD. Let's see here. Jean-Luc Connery. Thank you for the clarification. And then Mr. Solomon informs he's making a game using ChatGPT. Jean-Luc Connery says, that's right. I'm sad that I missed them. I could have interacted with the chat a bit more, but I was engrossed in my game and doing the demo. But he said, Mr. Solomon says, I think. And then Jean-Luc Connery says, oh, well, tell Robert I dropped by. Cheers all. Mr. Solomon says, cheers. And so I will say cheers. And if you're catching this on the replay, ChatGPT is making lots of progress. And as you can see, it's able to generate a graphic text adventure now. It can also just do a regular text adventure. I think this is going to be very exciting for role-playing games and games of this style. Because what is a chat good for? It's like, oh, could it administer a game for players. How are these virtual tabletops going to be able to do that? And I think what this shows is that it's actually quite viable to do so. You could probably use this at a tabletop, just load it up and start using it to generate, just if nothing else, is like a room descriptor. And then you could just take the elements that are already, kind of role monsters or whatever, whether they're in the room or not, and then try to incorporate that into your tabletop experience. So I think that this is it's capable of doing more than just it's capable of doing more than merely administering the game. And I'll give you one final example of that. Asked what's his name? Asked Varathar, tell me a tale of Leona. Because it can do more than just administer the game. Varathor, tell me a tale of Leona. Seeking stories of the wood drake. That's correct. Leona is the goddess of the woods, a being entwined with nature. Varathor's, oh no, where's my images? Dang it. And don't forget to generate images every turn. That's annoying. You shouldn't have to do that every time. All right, I'll stop that and save and submit. Get some more coffee while the C64 loads. That's actually always funny. And when you were playing like Zork or Curse of the Azure Bonds with the C64, like if you did something important, it would start loading, particularly in Zork. It's like, oh, I actually accomplished something. Something's going to happen. Tell me a tale of Leona. Okay. In response to your request, Varathar, Keeper of Secrets, pauses, its form seeming to gather the winds and whispers of Tartarus behind it. Then, with a voice that resonates with ages, begins to recount a tale of Leona, the tale weaving through the air. Okay, in the Varathar's Tale of Leona. In the early days of creation, when the world was still young and malleable, there came forth the great earth dragon, a mighty brood of young drakes. Among them was Leona the wood drake. She spread her wings over the forests and trees. Leona was a being of immense power. Now it's just making this up. Power and grace, her dominion over the woods, absolute. She nurtured the trees, spoke to the winds, and danced with the rivers. Her touch brought forth growth and vitality, and under her gaze, the forest of the world thrived. But her heart was not untouched by sorrow. As the age is past, she saw the creatures of the woods fall prey to time and change. She witnessed the encroachment of others upon her domain, the forest dwindling, and the harmony she so cherished being disrupted. Through it all, Leona's spirit never wavered. With a fierce love for her realm, her every action a testament to her commitment to life and growth. She became a beacon for all who sought refuge and strength. Her story, a tale of enduring hope and resilience. Even now, her essence permeates the woods of the world. Her legacy, one of beauty and tenacity. The wood drakes. I didn't say Leona was the wood drake, but in the story, in the prompt, the drakes are kind of draconic deities that oversee the world of Danae. So she's the goddess of the woods, and it knew to look in the instructions and see that she was the wood drake. So it's able to take story elements. I'm the writer, I'm the author of this world, so I know what those elements are. And so if I reference them, even if I don't tell them everything about it, the game is going to know something about it. So that's important, is that it has a sense of persistence for the world itself. You can structure your world. It could be anything. You could do a space adventure, some sci-fi, some steam, cyberpunk or something like that. If you want to make a game like that, you can do this. And again, when I can make this commercially available in some respects, I will endeavor to make the prompt more fully available so that others can do the same thing. And so that's I think that's good enough for the demo for today. We could play it all day, but we need to get back to our, it's lunchtime. I hope you all have had a Merry Christmas. On the, I guess it'll be 12 days of Christmas. So we're on like day 2 now. But this is Robert Romano with comicsgate.org. Thank you for joining me live, and for everyone who did. And also, you can hit that subscribe button, ring the bell for notifications, share this out, and yeah, try to make your own GPTs. Let me know what you're doing in the comments, and have a good day.